Hello everybody, I'm Mike Levin of Levinux, and today I will be showing you how to modify a recipe to build a server to your specification. This is one for the more advanced people as opposed to the newbies that I've been catering to so far. And I already built Levinux into a Python server by choosing option 4 earlier. You see it loading the extensions. And in a moment you'll see it recovering the backup file. And that'll be our starting point, because what I'm actually going to install today is a remote package manager for Python that gives you access to all the world of things that have been developed and can be added fairly easily to Python. I'll open a terminal. I'll SSH into TC at localhost, port 2222, password foo. And the program we use to browse the TinyCore Linux repository is AB. And it tells us to enter the starting characters of our desired extension. And I'm actually going to type Python because I know it puts Python before all the extensions that are prepackaged for Python. And there it is there. It's option number 7. But I am going to quit out so that I can show you us using tce-load/-wi, which makes it persistent, python-distribute. That should look familiar from the server build scripts. And now we have a package manager which alone will give you access to a lot of the Python stuff out there using something called easy_install. But there's another one out there called pip, which is becoming increasingly popular. So I am going to use easy install to install pip. Now you'll notice that pip is not part of the TinyCore Linux repository system. Oh, I have to do sudo. So I'm going to clear, and I'm going to do sudo easy install pip. Again, sudo turns you into super user, lets you install software that can be used globally through the system. In this case, the system is the little Levinux virtual server. And the things that are being printed here in front of us are actually quite important, because pip is not part of the TinyCore Linux repository. We have to use some facilities that TinyCore provides us to make it persistent. And a lot of these things that are typed here are very important. The location of user local bin pip, user local bin pip-2.7, and user local bin Python 2.7 site packages, this pip egg. All three of those items need to be made persistent. And now to do that and to make pip survive a reboot, we are going to use vim to edit a file that's in opt, and it's named filetools.lst. And I am, in fact, because I'm going to have to copy and paste, going to do that in another terminal window because I want to keep that last stuff displaying. And once again, it's vim opt filetools.lst. And here's a list of all the stuff that's been made persistent so far. I go to the bottom, I hit O to start typing a new line, and now I'm going to paste in the things that have to be persistent here. Pip hyphen 2.7, And then this last one, which is why I wanted to be able to copy and paste this long egg. Eggs are part of the package management system on Python. And you'll notice I leave out the leading slash on the user directory. And then I hit the escape key, colon, WQ to write and quit. And now to make this take permanently, I use a command which is unique to Tiny Core Linux called filetool.sh-b for backup. I am adding the pip items that need to be made persistent to the backup. Now I am going to hit 3 to shut down. And then I'll load this right back up. And you'll notice that both of these terminal windows had a forced log out. You can't see it on that one, but there it is. It forced a log out on both of these terminal windows because the server closed. The extensions are loading. That's everything that tce-load uses to build the system. All the extensions, Python, Vim, and Git are all packaged extensions, as is distribute. Now the things that are not were just restored from that backup. And we know that because we can log back in and we can use the pip command. I'm not going to use it to actually install anything, but I type it, and just the mere fact that it's there and is going to give back some feedback in a second shows us that pip is persistent. And that's pretty much it for doing it inside of Levinux. Now I'm going to show you adding it to the recipe. The file you want to edit is inside server. Now normally it's this recipe, but since these are things that you only do when you install Python, I have a different, post recipe, which is python.sh. Now I really can't edit it here, or else it's going to come up in text edit for the Mac and mangle line returns. So I am going to close down the server. I am going to cd into that location, which is desktop, Levinux, reset, server, ingredients, vim, python.sh. Close this one, move this up here, make it bigger. Here is our recipe for building a server. I hit the go to where I want. I hit O to insert a line. tce-load -wi python -distribute output to dev null as far as stuff shown on the screen. And then down here, after a bunch of other stuff happens, I know all the dependencies will be taken care of. Easy install pip. Oh yeah, we need the sudo command to be in super user mode. And that seems like it's it, but it's not, because we also need to put those locations into the filetool.lst location. So I'm going to do echo user local bin pip append opt filetool.lst yank paste insert hyphen 2.7, and then one more. Now if I'm lucky, that file location will still be in my copy buffer. And it is, yay! Okay. Now those hyphen E's up there, I'll clean this up while I go. That's usually for color coding while I print stuff out, and it's a mistake for me to have had the color coding in there, so for consistency's sake, I'll edit those out. Escape, WQ. We now have made pip persistent. We don't need this anymore. And to demonstrate this fact, we actually are going to reset the server, reset from a Mac. That wiped out everything, the Python install, wiped out everything but the recipe. I'm going to build a new server. And this is actually going to take a little bit of time, so this may be one of the first tutorials I edit, cutting out the wait for the Python server to build. But we'll wait through this quick initial build. I hit 4 to get Python. And I'll basically be silent now until the things show on the screen that have to do with a new recipe addition that we created. And I plan on wrapping this recipe into Levinux version 1.5, which is forthcoming. So you'll be able to use easy install or pip to fetch your Python extensions. But fair warning, some of those things have dependencies that are not installed yet and won't automatically install them. Specifically, if you tried to use NumPy, it needs the C compiler, which I didn't include because it can trigger off a whole chain of dependencies. And right now, even after Python and Vim and Git are installed, this whole thing is still under 60 megabytes. And I'm trying to avoid the rapid exploding balloon of dependencies that'll build this up to 200 or 300 megs before you know it. That's part of the reason I'm even staying on Python 2.7 at this point. It has many fewer dependencies than 3.3. And as we proceed, I'll be modifying the recipes, making you wait longer during server builds, which I'll edit out, but you'll be doing the waiting as you build these things. But I want to create a nice positive experience initially, and once you see the value of Levinux, I'll start making versions that support these large dependency chains for some of the more advanced tools. Okay, Vim is just about pulled down, so what you're about to see is distribute get pulled down, then a bunch of ingredients, and then the pip install. There's distribute, a bunch of trivial FTP transfers, and now pip is going to look a little bit different. And these warnings are fine. It actually works as an alternative to an older version of Easy Install, and it just gives you a little of that information. And there we have it. We should now be able to open a terminal window, log into our server, and refer to pip. Voila! You now can attempt to pull down anything from a Python repository. Your results will vary because of other dependencies such as the GCC compiler, but that should be enough information for you to go in and modify your recipes and make the changes persistent. Thanks for joining me today. This has been a more advanced Linux tutorial for people who want to customize it to their own needs. I'll revert back to some more simple stuff and introduce you to web development in the next demo. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.